Hello and welcome to a very festive edition of the Full Force Weekly, brought to you by Battle Action Force, the Deluxe Treasury Editions. I am Chris McLeod AKA Diagnostik80, and joining me on this special day is the extremely talented artist Adam Snitches Gets Stitches Riches, Irish legend and collaborator on some amazing toy books, Paddy Total Action Lennon, and my awesome used-to-be regular co-host on the Full Force Weekly and host of Articulated Points YouTube channel, Patrick Notpicard Stewart. On this holiday special, we will be looking back at 2025 and picking our 3 favourite G.I. Joe related things of the year. So what is it, Pat?
It's the Full Force Monthly. Is that right?
Weekly.
It's the Full Force Weekly. We're doing
it's the Full Force Holiday Special, technically.
It's the Full Force Holiday Special.
All of that staying in. Amazing. How's everyone doing? It's been ages. Pat, how are you doing, buddy? I haven't seen you for blooming months.
It has been forever. Yeah, I've definitely missed it. But there was that one moment in Halloween where we tried to think about getting together, but I just couldn't make it happen. I had a lot of things going on that week. Yeah, we had a lot of that back and forth of I couldn't, you couldn't, I couldn't, you couldn't, and now it's kind of lined up to we both really can't for a while. Yeah,
it sucks, but at least you're back on this time. Once a year, it's probably we're gonna have to increase that big time. You can't.
That'd be nice.
Once a year. Yeah, let's get that going again. Paddy as well, all the way from Ireland. How you doing, buddy?
Good. I literally have not been on in months.
I know you've been on since last year.
Might be in last year actually. Yeah, since I've been on.
So we'll kind of be. We've hardly spoken apart from on messages every single day. And Adam, how are you, buddy? Another long time.
Yeah, there's a festive chill in the air. It might be Christmas. It might be before Thanksgiving. Who knows? It's
It might be the 23rd of November.
I've literally thrown all my Christmas gear on and I am absolutely sweating my nuts off. So yeah, good choice, right? With the Grinch hat. Oh. Anyway, good to have you all back on. It's been too long. Now, we are going to be getting stuck into, Kitty said, we're going to be getting stuck into our favourites, our top 3s of the year from G.I. Joe. I haven't even chosen mine yet, so I'm gonna go last because I have not chosen mine. But we'll do what we do usually, and we'll do our 3rd choice, 2nd choice, and 1st choice like that. But we'll do them like as a group. So we'll do our 3rd choices first, then we'll cycle through again and do our 2nd, and then again for our 1st. And we'll start.
And then our 2nd choice is 2nd.
We'll do our 2nd choices first. Our 1st choice is last. Yeah. Then we'll carry the Y. We'll do that, and we'll start with Paddy. Paddy can start us off, being in Ireland, and then Pat can take the 2nd spot, and then Adam can go last because screw you, Adam. Actually, technically, I'm going last, so it'll be Paddy, Pat, Adam. Is that cool with you guys?
That works.
Okay, brilliant. In that case, Paddy, start us off then with your 3rd choice of 2025, please.
Okay, so I'm starting as I mean to go on, and as we mean to go on based on the list we've shared already with each other.
I haven't shared.
And I'm picking one of my few Super 7 O-ring reaction figures, and it's the O-ring suicide vest wearing Bat. Comics Bat. Like I said, I don't have very many of them, but I really, really like this figure. Love that issue of the comic that this is in with the Fall of the Pit. It might actually be called Pitfall, that issue. Someone will correct me. But I've always liked the design of the Bat with the different head sculpt from the standard kind of retail release Bat. And he's genuinely a lovely figure. And my only problem with it was at the start was, oh God, you can't really put his backpack on. And then Adam is like, you can take off the back of his suicide vest and put in the weapons backpack there.
Classic.
You idiot.
Classic maneuver.
So literally cannot think of anything I would do to improve him. And that's why he's my top 3 this year.
Fantastic. Good start. And yeah, that was an interesting one. That was kind of out of left field a little bit as well, because we'd had a few bats. We'd had a comic bat as well. So to kind of get that one, it was SDCC exclusive?
I think it was SDCC.
But it was an interesting one for me because I was not expecting that. It was a real bit of a deep cut from the comics, that one. So yeah, I like that one though. What about you guys, Pat and Adam? Are you fans of that one? I know, Adam, you were just flying yours about a little bit on screen.
Well, actually, I was flying about the first one because I realized the second one is like way back there, and I'm like, I'm not knocking down all this stuff to get him, but same, close enough. Pat and I have had many a late night nerdy discussion about the very finite details of Super 7 O-ring, and one thing that I know we both agree with is that we would like to see the shoulder rivets be painted. And of course they're not, but on this figure, I feel like that kind of works because he's an android. Also, he's just really cool. Yeah, I love deep cuts. And also his card back is definitely worth mentioning. Very cool design.
His card back's amazing, yeah.
Die cut holes in it to look like explosion stuff. Really awesome.
The card back, I think, is a plus. If you're going to go and do something that's kind of a special, this one was, they weren't reaching for a very vintage card back this time. It was something a little bit unique and different. And I think that it worked out for them. I especially like the fact that right behind the bat is like a burn mark into the comic where you could see the other pages.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah, they kind of definitely went kind of all out with that one for sure. Good shout, Paddy. And also kind of kicking us off with a bit of Super 7 O-ring goodness, which again has been actually pretty prominent this year. There's been a lot of it, lots of releases, kind of, I would say steady stream, but it's been like an increased stream of reveals and drops and stuff. So yeah,
where they drop these things like and then they're in your hands 2 days later.
That's crazy.
It's crazy, isn't it? That they're in your house like a week later.
Or it's that thing of, oh, this is leaked. No, it's in store already.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, cool. I'm sure we'll come back to O-ring with Reaction Plus throughout this episode. But let's move on to, I think it's Pat. Yeah, it's Adam I screwed over, wasn't it? Pat next then for your third choice of 2020, whatever this bloody year is. 5.
I believe that my third choice was the Saw Viper.
Nice. Sorry, it's just because I didn't send anything like any prep. Yes,
right.
Saw Viper.
Yeah, so I do remember it was I chose Saw Viper. It was actually hard for me to choose this year because there was a lot of stuff. This year is probably the year more than any that I didn't get a lot of the classifieds. So I don't really feel fair to say that it's, not the best one when I haven't had it in hand.
Yeah, sure.
So the Saw Viper, though, I think exemplifies what I like to see out of a mainline classified figure, which it is updated. You can kind of strip it down to get a really close approximation to the vintage figure. Right. Well, it's kind of like Tripwire. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And so there's still also some room, though, for, I don't necessarily expect them to do a retro Saw Viper, but if they did, certainly a larger than necessary rifle and a backpack that's more akin to the vintage one, and maybe some brighter colors. There's some space for a retro one, but the new one is certainly an update, but it also has the ability to be a little bit retro if that's what you're looking for. And that's really, I think that that exemplifies what I want from a classified figure, and what I want from those particular toy lines really informed my choices that I made.
Yeah, awesome. Fantastic. Not much more to add to that one, but yeah, I think the classified Saw Viper is a banging figure. Very satisfying. It's very chunky. Lots going on. Lots of cool little details.
And I like the saw. People complain about the fact that it had a saw on there, but I did mention this because I was still in the weekly where that one was shown.
7 years ago.
The original figure on the art actually has a different weapon, and it kind of has like some sort of drill or saw attachment. So it's not something completely made up for classified. It's just something a little more fleshed out.
Yeah, it's got a bit of a Gears of War vibe to me.
It does.
I like it. The beauty part is, boink, just take it off if you don't like it. So
exactly.
Choices.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. What do you guys think, Paddy? Are you a fan of the classified Saw Viper?
I don't have one. I do like the look of him, and I didn't mind the update. I thought the Saw was fine. Just like this is what classified is for. It's to give us updates on some of these characters as well. Retro is for retro, and classified is allowed to do modernizations. So I didn't have a problem with that. He's available on pretty steep discount now around here, so I might end up picking one up.
Around these parts.
I may end up picking one up if I see one.
He's one of the few classified figures I still don't have, actually. Never found him at retail here, and it's been such an onslaught this year between classified and Reaction Plus that just trying to keep up with it all has felt near impossible. Because also, G.I. Joe is not the only thing I collect. So I do think he's really cool, though. And,
you also collect human skulls, don't you?
I do, yeah. They're just off camera. Yeah. And I've even got one in here. But I also... they're getting into my sweet spot right now. All of the stuff that I grew up with, my absolute favorites, all the like 89, 90, 91 kind of characters, Heavy Duty, Ninja Force, etc. That stuff is all starting to hit now. So, definitely a figure that I'm eager to own if or when I see one. But and I know everyone watching this is like, why don't you just pre-order everything? Well, because I'm not a zillionaire, guys. So that's why.
None of us are zillionaires, and I think that's why none of us are pre-ordering everything. Same vibes on that one for sure. Anyway, classified Saw Viper, it's one of my faves. I've got a couple of those, and because classified is the only thing I collect, everything else just has to be sent to me for free. So if I collect it, so thanks Super 7. But like the Saw Vipers, a really, really solid figure. I'm like, where is it? There he is. I see both of them are right down there. You can't see them on screen, but they're brilliant and they're on display proudly. Right then, that's the Saw Viper. Good shout for your third, Pat. Adam, what's your third favorite figure of the year, or G.I. Joe related thing of the year, I should say?
So I'm coming in with a hot one here. We got classified Crystal Ball.
Good shout. Hall of Famer.
Yeah. It's funny. As a kid, like I've told these stories umpteen times, probably even on this podcast, but when I kind of made the jump from being a child that played with figures to a collector, which was really around the same time, there's a comic book store I used to go to, and they had the little clear plastic boxes that you put trading cards in, and that's what they had all their loose Joes in. And so you were still like, you could get 80s Joes in the early 90s at the store, used. And I remember there was a few figures, specifically Armadillo and Crystal Ball, were always $1. Like, just nobody wanted them. It was like, even then. And so I think because of that, it gave me like a stigma about that character for the longest time, that like he was, lesser than somehow. I don't even know why. And when I finally got a vintage Crystal Ball, I was like, he's pretty cool. I don't know. I like him. He's weird, The lenticular's fun. But this figure has just taken that, 100 stages up. And I think this is my favorite thing that Classified does. If you're going to redo a character, just go for it, And I think they've done that. He's just, I don't even know what he is. Is he a creepy, mystic, vampire, goth? Who knows? But he's cool. He's got a claw hand. He's got all these ghost weapons, tattoos, a lenticular shield, whatever this is, Kraken head or something. It's just wild stuff, man. And also, I am such a sucker for all of these translucent pieces, which now we've also incorporated into Ghost Viper. So you can build a whole, army of Crystal Ball people. But man, I don't know how well this shows up, but just look at his detail. Like, he's so weird and realistic and creepy, and he's got his little teeth. He just, just not a guy you run into in a dark alley.
Or any alley. Could be middle of the day. I wouldn't want to go anywhere near him.
But just such a cool design. I feel like they hit every hallmark of the vintage and found a way to kick it up. And easily, not just of this year, but one of my favorite classified figures of the whole run thus far.
I have to agree with that. I think Crystal Ball is, he's in the Hall of Fame for a reason, and people voted him in there, which is crazy to me. I don't think it's surprising. It's just surprising that he beat other people off, Kitty said, to that spot in the Hall of Fame. But I can't prove that he beat people off, but who knows? But no, I think it's amazing. It's a great update. Ever since we started seeing the kind of leaked images, they were from the factory, I was kind of invested. And then when the actual figure came out, I was like, it's great. And the Ghost Viper sort of carry on to kind of that's another insane figure as well, which probably deserves its own little honorary mention here, because I don't think it's on anyone's lists, but it's probably definitely on my kind of honorable mention sort of shout outs for that one. Definitely. There he is. Oh, that's just a box.
Yeah, there he is. Dick King, Crystal Ball. Shout out.
Dicking. Paddy, are you a Crystal Ball fan?
I believe in my last appearance on the Full Force, I committed certain slurs against Crystal Ball as a concept, as a character, as a man, as a person, and I stand by those.
Cool. Still a hater. I love it.
Still a hitter.
Have you seen the figure? Have you kind of had any physical touching?
I would literally cross the street to avoid him, Chris, honestly.
Cross the street to avoid the person or just the action figure?
Just the figure, yeah. The figure. And
because choices have been made by that person that I'm sure Paddy wouldn't want to. Yeah. Look at that, lovely stuff. And Pat, what about you? Are you a fan of the Crystal Ball figure?
I love that they took a character who could have just been kind of churned out without any thought, and they really gave thought. You can tell that head to toe there's a lot of thought put into what can we do with what this was that was underappreciated to build it out a little bit more. And again, this is one that has some space for a retro figure, and he's certainly been hot enough that I think it deserves it. I think that I actually think we need a retro Crystal Ball, which is going to be crazy if Crystal Ball is a figure that flies off the shelves, but that's kind of been happening already.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
When I started collecting heavily again in '89, there were still tons of Crystal Balls everywhere from '87 or maybe '88. The second, issue of him still hanging around. But yeah, I think that this is a good one. I really wish that on the Shield they had done something differently, because having a 3D, skulls and snakes, as well as it being embedded inside the lenticular, I think that they could have chosen to do one or the other and done something different with the 3D piece or different with the lenticular. But there's a lot of good here for sure.
I think that kind of sticks out to me as like trying to keep a kind of consistent sort of narrative, I guess, so that you can kind of, as a photographer, you can be like, this is its kind of like regular look, and then obviously you can do it. This is its like more 3D related sort of kind of vibe. I don't know, but I know what you mean. Like they could have an opportunity to do different things with those two options. Yeah.
But again, it will make it more different if they do it again as a retro figure.
Right.
This does feel a little bit like a hat on a hat. I agree with that. I think especially because if you look at
how dare you?
Yeah. how cool the flame effect is coming off this. I feel like if they had just repeated that and made a flame effect coming off the border of this, it would have looked really cool. But
oh well, scrap it. Get it out of the Hall of Fame quick. No, that's awesome. That's Crystal Ball. And I would say he probably would have been in my list as well. But we kind of, the other thing we want to do with these lists as well is at least kind of keep it so that we cover a lot of different things rather than just the same thing in each thing. And I think everyone got their own very unique lists, which is really cool. And that seems to happen every time without really a lot of conversation. Like we just put our lists out there and they are very different, which has happened now for the last 50 years. We've done this. And
I left some out of mine expected one of them to be on some other lists.
Right.
So we'll
see. So Crystal Ball's definitely for me would have been on my list had it not been for a bunch of other figures that have happened this year, and other figures that have got more of an emotional connection to me. So they've got the advantage going in, unfortunately. But there's so many good ones, and like honorable mentions sort of territory. I want to give a shout out to Super 7 and the Reaction Plus line, because there's a few in there that I love. The Royal Guard. I know it's not. I know you're not necessarily a big. Are you a big fan, Adam, of the Royal Guard?
As a concept of that figure?
Of that figure, that specific figure. I was joking initially, but I mean of that particular version.
Yes, I am. And it's funny because, when that was revealed, I must have gotten 100 messages from people. Oh, you're going to buy so many. And I'm like, well, I have a few, but at $25 a figure, no, I'm not going to get 300 plus of them. But I think it's really cool. But it doesn't have the same emotional nostalgic connection that the vintage one does, obviously, but having something that accurately reflects what's on screen is of course extremely cool. So yes, I do like it quite a bit.
And then of course, having our first ever Pythona in the line in terms of like an O-ring figure is a big deal. But in terms of like my third choice, though, it's really more about kind of a few honorable mentions at this point before I get into my third choice. And also Arctic Scarlet, which I know isn't everyone's cup of tea, but for some reason that figure has done things to me, not in that way, that I just really love it. I love that figure so much. I think she's awesome. I don't know why. I just find that Arctic Scarlet really cool and interesting. Now, that's to the side, but like a shout out to Super 7 for me on that one. A couple of other honorable mentions. I'm only going to stick in third here because I'm going to get into what I actually chose. But I wanted to choose Flint, Retro Flint, in this particular top three. But the card art sort of ruined that a little bit for me. The figure, exceptional. I couldn't have asked for anything more for Flint, except maybe his Sunbow style pistol would have been cool. But like the card art has kind of ruined that a little bit for me. And if I'd gotten the variant art one, if I'd have gotten that one, then yeah, that would have been in my. But no, I didn't. So screw you all. So what that kind of what I end up with then at that point is Heavy Duty at number 3, because hot diggity dumplings, what an amazing freaking figure that was. Now my top 3 is going to be heavily classified, if not all classified, but Heavy Duty being at number 3, it doesn't do him justice enough. I mean, there's so much going on. The figure as is a really solid version of that character. The hat's really cool. The deco's really awesome. The build's amazing. And then, of course, to give him like this mech desk is insanity. And I love that they upgraded him this way. It's just such a creative way to get Heavy Duty, the kind of weapon system that makes sense in this particular. And I say makes sense. I mean, ain't nobody carrying all that jazz, are they really? But I have to say that one for me is up there this year as one of my favorites. Going around the team, Paddy, did you like Heavy Duty?
He's a great update. I had the vintage as a kid and I really liked it. And he is just, couldn't really think of anything to improve on him. Really, really great modern version of that character.
Yeah, definitely agree on that one. Pat?
Yeah, there's something about it that reminds me of Alien for some reason. The Alien Space Marines, the way that they armored him out. So it's a good one.
Is it that panel on the front that's got the kind
of
scratch?
I think that's what it is. Yeah. So it definitely was good. Yeah, we talked about it a lot, but I like this one.
And Adam, I know you got some thoughts.
Yeah, I love it. This figure is so wildly impractical, and it blows my mind that it's actually able to stand. But it can somehow.
I love the fact they gave him ear protection, like as if that's the impractical part. Like, it's like, we'll give you ear protection, but you still got to lug this tank around with you, mate.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much going on. Like, I don't even have this figure fully equipped. There's still more in the package, but it just, and all the blast effects with the individual rockets. I had this, like Patty, I had this figure as a kid and really loved it. It was one of my favorites. I was always fond of him from that Deke episode where they go underground with the Queen and is it Channel, I think.
Yeah.
And I played with that figure incessantly, and so like this one is, again, it's just hitting that classified sweet spot of being in my nostalgia zone, but also just finding ways to level up every single detail about that. Even little things like, I don't know if you can see, he's got that necklace with the bull skull Taurus thing, and
the
little eye visor piece is removable. I mean, just shred head.
I love the tampo on the hat. The shred head tampo is so cool.
All these little tampos on the back. I don't know if that's in focus, but
that audio kind of tampo is apparently the audio taken from like an actual audio clip visual from, I think it's written on the bazooka as well, the A minor. Is it the song in something minor? I forget what it is now, but it's an old kind of classical.
A minor. Yeah, that one.
Yeah. It's Kendrick Lamar, dissing Drake. But there's so many nice little touches in there that are really, really cool. The fact that he's a musician as well, like, is called out. It's just really cool little touches like that I really love.
Yeah, and I'll say like a sticking point for me with Classified is that it doesn't have clear delineation in my mind between what is a standard retail figure versus a deluxe versus whatever. Like, there's so many price points and stuff, and so sometimes I feel sort of like resentful about that, where it's like you feel like, is this figure deluxe enough to justify being deluxe? Whereas, like, if you look at the vintage line, it's like it was like more like you win some, you lose some. Like, you got a figure like Ambush that came with a whole tent, and then you got somebody else that came with a single gun, and it, price wise, yeah, leveled out for Hasbro, you know. But now with this, you know, it doesn't work like that anymore. So the price point of this figure obviously higher than like say Crystal Ball or something, but also I feel like that's justified in the loadout. You know, this figure feels very deluxe. He comes with so much stuff, and like when you really think about how many individually tooled parts are on this and how many tampo hits there are, I mean, it's just crazy. Like probably 100 pieces to assemble this figure, you know. So I feel like this is an instance where the value feels very justified, and I mean, it's just. There's so much intricacy we're not even talking about. If you look at all the little detailed tampo hits on the legs, the patterns, like it's just there's just so much going on here. Like you could really dissect this figure for an hour, but it's just very, very cool and definitely worthy of a top spot this year.
Fantastic. Well, he's my third because I've got even more fun stuff to get into before that. Now we're swinging back round to Paddy, who's going to take us through his number 2. Tee-hee.
Number two this year is classified paintball Snake Eyes, or version 4 Snake Eyes, or whatever you want to call them. Just really nice update. There is one fatal flaw, which is his holster, which I absolutely hate. But the rest of the figures all win.
You mean his leg flap? His leg flap.
His leg flap.
It's
really annoying. But the rest of the figure is so good. Again, perfect update. Really needed a massive rocket launcher, massive spring-loaded missile launchers. Really missing. Maybe they'll do that for a retro.
Do you think like that's a good point, big time on that figure for sure? It's a great shout for one, and it would have been on my list had it not been for the fact they didn't give him a backpack, because I think that was a great opportunity to sort of do a backpack where the grappling hook
went into
kind of attaches to it. Like that would just make sense. It doesn't have to fire anything, but just make him a backpack for it, you know. Like that seems like a no-brainer. But he's a beautiful figure, right? Phenomenal update. Love the design.
And a nice way of bringing in the red from the weapons into the weapons on it as well, like that they're not neon, you know, one single color off a sprue thing,
right?
But I like the fact that the little bit of red on his machine gun and his swords is a nice touch. Nice callback to the vintage.
Yeah, I'm glad you chose him because he's one of my favorite. He's my favorite version of Snake Eyes ever in terms of the version 4. Pat will tell you, but
they're ramping up. You know, you got to save the best Snake Eyes for last.
I'm trying to think. Ninja Force. Yeah, you're right. Totally.
No,
anyway.
It has to be 89 will be last. That's what they have to do because it is the best one.
Could you imagine if the line stops, Pat, before they get to version? Could you imagine?
If they release 89 line. Snake Eyes and it's all over.
I know. I know what you're looking forward to 2026 then. Is that on your? That's not on your list, is it?
That's not on my list. No,
should be. Yeah, and that great.
Are you telling me that they're making an 89 Snake Eyes next year? Is that the news here that you're breaking?
No, I'm not telling you that at all. You'd have known if I know you.
I know you would have. Well, maybe you wouldn't have told me. You would have just let me be surprised. You would have had me on that week and been like, surprise,
bitches. No, I'm not going to do that to you. I will tell if that ever happens in the future, and I know about it. You'll know about it. To you, though, version 4 Snake Eyes classified. Thoughts, Pat?
You know, I don't know if it's just mine, but I didn't really have any problems with my holster. That was one of the ones I did pick up, and whenever I put the gun in there, it stays. Yeah, I see that it kind of does that, but I don't know how else you would holster that gun because it's so large and have it. Yeah, see, mine stays and yours stays. It's flappy, yours, but it works.
Yeah, his backpack came off. And the gun
I hear a lot of people with that criticism. My criticism would probably be how high the backpack is, and that's just kind of characteristic of classified still struggling with backpacks a bit. Yeah. If you turn that around, Adam, you can kind of see how it doesn't really rest right between his shoulder blades. It kind of rests above, like between his shoulder blades and neck, and it's too high on the figure, in my opinion. But that's just a nature of the design of classified, and the fact that where it would belong, there's a joint, so there's not really an easy way for them to peg something in there. It's just a design conundrum that I don't know how they can possibly solve. I'm glad that they put it on there.
In that particular case, just doing a new backpack that like a one that would have the storage options for all of the other stuff.
Be a little lower, maybe
would have been so much, like that would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Just having
Yeah,
a
but I'm
little.
glad he has that instead of nothing, and just
Yeah.
have some of the
Yeah.
accessories
At
on the
least
ground while
something,
others
yeah.
are in his hands.
Absolutely,
So.
absolutely. And Adam, you're not a fan, are you?
I am a big fan, but honestly, I think I might have more complaints than anyone here. I love this figure. I love this design. It might be my favorite Snake Eyes design as well. But two things really stick out to me. There's this this phrase, you can't be half pregnant. Like, if you're gonna do something, you got to go all the way with it.
Challenge accepted.
And so with this figure, it's like, I appreciate that they wanted to include some of the callbacks to the more outlandish color scheme of the era, but like, just go for it, man. Like, what, like, Classified is so filled with grays, blacks, browns, greens, drab colors that it's like, it would have made him really pop, So I would have loved to have seen, and maybe even a second set of swords if you still wanted to have the muted ones, but like, give him the neon orange handles and then make the blades look metallic orange. Same thing with the gun. Like, I just don't see.
That's for the inevitable retro release.
Man, I mean, it's not a real world design, so it doesn't matter if you go outlandish with it. It's like you're keeping one foot in the door of realism with something that's already absurd. So what's, and then the only other thing, and it's not really a complaint, just something that I think would have been cool to see, is that if you go back and look at the 1992 12-inch Hall of Fame Snake Eyes, he had a removable visor. And that is so common and Classified that I'm like, that they easily could have done that. And it would have been really cool to see his actual human eyes and then have like a clear visor, that, cleared red tinted visor you could take off.
Snake skin around.
Sure. Like Battle Armor Cobra Commander. Yeah. Snake eyes. Get it? But it just, I think that would.
No, you'll have to explain.
Just we only have a little time here. Just something that would have, just something to kick it up a little, in the detail department. But I mean, yes, this is an awesome figure. I love it. Probably would have been on the cusp of my top 3 too, but I think that's largely due to my childhood nostalgia. I mean, I spent a lot of time playing the Nintendo Atlantis Factor game with him, and obviously the Deke series and everything else. So I have a lot of fondness for this design, and I was very happy to see it get a modern update finally.
Yeah, I've got it's a really cool figure, and it could be improved. You could probably say that about most figures that have ever come out and will ever come out, but actually, there's one figure on my list that I would probably say doesn't need any changes. We'll get to that later, but
I would just say I would rather have like a 4-star paintball Snake Eyes in Classified than not get a paintball Snake Eyes in Classified.
Oh,
so
absolutely, yeah.
Oh, it's still a solid figure, mate. Don't get me wrong. I think for me, the only improvement I would make with that personally is give him a backpack for storage and some other cool stuff like that. Just to kind of homage the actual original figure too. Okay, cool. So Snake, another good addition there, Paddy. Pat, your number 2, please. Show us your number 2.
My number 2 is going to be Raymar. And I chose Raymar from the Super 7 Reaction Plus line because it really is a figure that we've waited a long time for. Unlike some of the other Super 7 figures, doing him in like the standard size figure just never would have worked. Right. I even rewatched part of the Mass Device last night, and it's amazing how much larger than Duke he's portrayed. Like, he's just... Like, in my mind, he was always, a lot bigger. But then when you're actually watching it, it's like, no, he's much bigger.
Yeah.
So I think that this figure kind of brought it maybe a little more within reason that he's a tall human. But, there's some stuff of the reaction figures that I just want them to be more like the vintage G.I. Joes. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for something... I mean, I think we've heard Brian say a lot of times that the Reaction Plus line doesn't need to be exactly like vintage. It needs to be more like the way that you remember vintage being. But the problem is so many of us buying it are actually have the vintage ones in hand.
And are buying it still.
Yeah, we're still buying them. Like, we have them. We're putting it on the shelf next to them, or we're putting them with them. So we don't have fuzzy memory of those old figures. They're a current thing, and that's not true for everybody. But for me, it certainly is. And for Raymar, like, I don't have any problems with him. Like, the way that his construction is excellent. It's a sturdy figure. They went with like a plastic for the base tone of the flesh tone. Like, so many of the things that I'm looking for are there in that figure. And because it's a little bit larger, some of the proportion and maybe some of the details that I may have been upset about if they would have wedged it into a regular size 3 3/4, just it's not an issue. This is, in my mind, one of the best ones from the Reaction Plus line, and it has me excited for more.
I love his hair as well, how it drapes over the front and the back. Like, that's just so cool.
Yes, rendering his backpack hole completely useless.
Useless, and rendering his range of motion also, yeah. I've got to agree with you.
If you need to unscrew this figure, you're going to really have a hard time.
How do they put it together?
Oh, that's a great question.
I guess.
They glue the hair on, right?
If you really, probably.
Could be,
You can.
It could be that they glued it on after. Yeah,
that's probably what happened. Yeah, that's so funny. It's like, okay, forever now in this. You're never going to be fixed, buddy. You'll have
those O-rings last.
You'll have to go in through the grundle in order to do, like, I don't know, some sort of like keyhole surgery through his nuts.
You just have to buy two. Cut the head off one so you have access to the screw hole. Take that out, and then on the other one.
But then, how are you going to get it together?
Glue?
Magic.
No, you can do it. It just, you have to really,
That's brilliant.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, it was more fun thinking that it was locked forever in a position it could never be fixed in. No, Raymar is amazing. It's a really cool figure. I was really excited when I saw that and the Fatal Fluffy. The Fluffy as well. What an amazing figure that is too. Straight out of the blooming cartoon. I shouldn't say that. Sorry, Pat. We'll get to that later, maybe. I don't know. Maybe whatever. Spoiler alert. What about you guys? Raymar, Paddy?
I'm happy that the people who want him got him, but I don't know the character, don't know the figure, couldn't really give a shit.
Fair enough. And
that's how that's the world we're in right now, though. There's so much G.I. Joe stuff being made.
Do you guys remember recording podcasts like 6 years ago when there was literally nothing? We were like getting excited about finding like mints, Cracker Barrel. Yeah.
Dude, I remember getting excited when those like cheap helicopters were found and like that like wooden. Like,
do you remember when there was so little G.I. Joe news that Chris did an entire year of the Full Force that didn't have any G.I. Joe in it, and it was all like Starcom and Mask and
Micronauts, Visionaries, Transformers. Don't give away the reason why I did the crossover episodes, Paddy. Jeez, no, it was ridiculous. I remember when it was like random expensive collabs like Bait and 1000 Toys, Duke and Snake Eyes, and like the Reebok sneakers, the camouflage Reebok sneakers, and what else do we have? It was crazy, wasn't it? It was a crazy time, and now we are swimming in official merchandise.
Now we have 1000 Toys, Snake Eyes, and Storm Shadows are actually cheaper than most standard retail classified now.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
When this figure was announced, I was really not that into it because to only be in wave 2 of a new line at that point and to be having a one episode character from the cartoon that's not really a Joe or Cobra seemed like a strange call to me. But then I got to say, when I got him in hand, I had all the exact same feelings Pat did. The construction is so good and the build is evocative of Sergeant Savage, but almost like as if it was scaled for 3 3/4, which was really cool. But I think this is kind of, in a way, this is exactly what Super 7 should be doing. I love building out the Sunbow line because it's almost causing it to feel like it's its own iteration of G.I. Joe within the O-Ring line without just repeating characters we already had. And, I echo everything Pat said. I love that this figure is cast in flesh color as opposed to painted like a lot of them are.
Yeah.
Just really well made. The sculpt is awesome. Just he's obviously very light on accessories, but doesn't really need them either. I do think that the headband that came with Duke, the mind control device, probably should have come with him, so that you could put it on another figure. Because but anyway, all that said, but this is an awesome figure though, and if you don't have one in hand, you should. He's great. And a real standout of the line thus far. Literally and figuratively, he towers over the other figures.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. Good shout on that one, Pat, as well. That is your number 2. Adam, we're at your number 2, please, and thank you.
All right.
Smear us with your number 2.
Yes.
That doesn't even make sense. That just means rub shit on my face. Go on,
If
do that.
that's what you want, man. It's the holidays, I aim to please. It's number 2. He lays down the long bomb. Will it drop in? Yes! It's Big Lob from the Super 7 Reaction Plus line. This is just absolute childhood wish fulfillment for me, is the best way I can describe this figure.
Yeah.
Were you
not satisfied with the club's version then?
Well, I was actually. That's the interesting thing, is that, like, I think about this a lot with modern toys and how we have this aim for accuracy. Like we were talking about Royal Guard earlier. The Royal Guard figure that I've had for the last 37 years or whatever looks nothing like what appears in the cartoon, but that's all we had, and so I loved him as a result. And now there's a new one that looks just like the cartoon, but it doesn't have that same nostalgia for me, and so I actually was quite fond of that 2010 Big Lob club figure, because at the time it was the only Big Lob. But
right.
Somehow we had no Big Lob for 30 years, and now in the last 15 we've had 4. So this one though, I obviously Super 7 is going to remake all of the characters from the movie to look animation accurate, and so it won't matter as much at that point. But this figure easily can slot in with your vintage figures if you want to put him with your other 87 figures, and it would really be almost indistinguishable. He again is cast in flesh color, not painted, which I think is a big plus for this figure. Again, much like Ramar, he's taller than a standard O-ring figure, which again helps to really convey Big Lob's character. Very unique build to see how elongated his torso is. And also you can move this. You can easily access his backpack hole. He does not come with a grenade, which I think was a mistake. He's got one on the card art, and obviously in the movie, he famously throws one. He also doesn't come with a basketball, which I feel like is kind of criminal. But, all that, because, other sports characters like Gridiron and Fridge came with footballs. It only seems right. But all that aside, I mean, this is just an awesome figure that I think is so long overdue. And this is really, we now have a perfect Big Lob O-ring figure after all these years. And, also, I think, Chris and I once freestyle rapped with the voice of Big Lob, Brad Sanders. So, I have a special place for him in my heart even more now if I didn't already.
That was the most surreal moment ever, wasn't it?
So
I just
cool,
dropped
right?
a beat, and then he started rapping, and it was amazing. That was a great evening.
He's Big Lob in real life,
Absolutely.
But
great shout, man.
This figure, the design on its own, it's a very standard looking character. So like you said earlier, I think obviously nostalgia is going to play into all of our picks to some extent, but I think if you're a fan of the movie, which I am, and if you're a fan of the 87 line, which I am, this is a figure that you've wanted your whole life, and now you finally have. So I think this is an absolute must own. If you were only going to have a handful of Super 7 figures, this is one you should have.
Great shout. I love the fact their bandolier's removable as well. Like they could have easily sculpted the torso sort of like that. Kind of keeping it very like classic and vintage. Not to say that there weren't, secondaries and stuff on some of the figures, but it's one of those things that I think back in the day you probably would have seen that sculpted. Would you agree, or I kind of feel like that the fact they've done that as a removable piece immediately kind of elevates it for me. But also I know again some of you are quite sensitive in regards to that kind of vintage feel. Would you have preferred it to be molded, Pat?
Yeah, I hate to just say the opposite of what you just said, but the removable bandolier is kind of a downgrade for me. I think that if you look at some of the removable stuff at the time, you have like Outbacks straps, and you have Chuckles' holster. Those are 1987. It would have been exactly like that, and it would have not been at all like the bandolier that's on there. So I think that it's a little bit of an anachronism on the figure. I also don't really like the height of that Big Lob. He definitely had to be taller, but if you look to the G.I. Joe line, they were actually doing a little bit of a difference in height with some figures like Destro, and then later even more obvious with Sagat from the Street Fighter line. I think there's an opportunity to have some height, and I haven't compared him to that, so maybe I'm just totally wrong. But in hand, whenever I look at it, it's like this feels a little too tall. More than that, though, whenever I look at it, it feels like the details are too soft. I would like it to look a little more crisp. What I'm hoping for from Super 7 is to take those characters that were in the cartoon and extrapolate them out to fit with the vintage G.I. Joe line. Instead, we're almost just getting the cartoon look in hand, which isn't really what I want. I want the G.I. Joe figure, because I never had a problem being like, oh, you know, this is Cobra Commander, and there he is in the cartoon. This is Duke, and there he is in the cartoon. I never had a problem with, wow, you know, the colors are way brighter in the cartoon, or there's not as much detail in the cartoon. This is wrong to have all this detail on the figure. I wish that we had a little bit of that. I also wish that they had incorporated what Adam said is a grenade or a couple of grenades and a crazy basketball. I wouldn't want it to just be a basketball. I'd want it to be something more akin to Captain Gridiron's football grenades or the Fridge's football on a stick, kind of football on a chain thing. Something with
like
a basketball that explodes
basketball
or something.
Thing. That would be freaking
crazy. A basketball with dynamite on it or something that he can throw into the field, like something crazy.
Chain between two basketballs like that.
Yes, two basketballs, like a bolo basketball thing.
How about just a grenade that is a basketball, so it's got a handle with this enormous grenade on.
See, something crazy like that. There was definitely an opportunity there, I think. There was an opportunity.
Yeah, that would have been freaking amazing. Right, yeah. And Paddy, any love for Big Lob?
Yeah, sure, he's fine.
I like it. Paddy's keeping it brief, though. That's good.
Same comment on Rammer. Happy that Ram or whatever his name is. Very happy that the people who want him got him, but I don't know who he is. I don't know the figure. Fuck him.
Yeah, it's probably because I'm old. You could see like my hair's gotten grayer since my last appearance in the Full Force.
Yeah,
I watched, you know, Mass Device. That was my only G.I. Joe cartoon for a year. So yeah.
And and of course Adam has grown with the movie. Like that's like your baby, isn't it? Basically, yeah, exactly. You know, great shout. Another good addition to the group. I'm going to throw in my number 2 now. Gross. Now, it was between two figures for the longest time for me, and that's probably going to give a big clue as to what my number 1 is. But I have gone with Wetsuit for number 2, classified Wetsuit. And the reason I've gone for that particular, I know Pat just did the craziest gurn then ever, but like
I was just surprised.
The reason I've gone with that is because I genuinely feel like it is like the perfect figure for me. Like the classified version of Wetsuit is absolutely incredible. Like I've had it in hand. I haven't got my actual copy of it yet, my actual figure yet, but I have actually had that figure in hand, touched it, looked at it, and just been amazed by it. It is one removable helmet, and the head's a really good head sculpt. The deco's gorgeous. It's proper like his classic vintage kind of design. The accessories are out of this world. Like the updated like underwater vehicle is so cool. The fact that it connects to the backpack is like, oh, you went and you gave it more storage options and like more, like he can carry more of his gear, and that to me is like, yeah, you're absolutely winning when you can do that. The little halogen lamp with a little loop on it, just all these little kind of, you know, it's like the vintage version brought to life in 6-inch with, again, a few little updates. One of the things that actually made me really excited, that a lot of people were like, oh, I need to change his flippers out. I was like, well, one, this has given us the Hydro Viper like reveal, which I am absolutely in love with. Like the Hydro Viper is one of my favorite figures of all time. So the fact that we got like a pre sort of like reveal of that figure with Wetsuit kind of elevated that even more for me. And I just think it's one of those ones where they've just nailed every single detail. And as the only update is on the flippers really more than anything else, and the underwater vehicle. But that to me is like is phenomenal. Like, you know, it's just next level for me. And that Wetsuit is like almost like executed to perfection. Thank you very much. So for me, the fact that's not number 1 was really the battle I was having. So I know it's a bit of a surprise for people, and probably on the show, and probably in like, you know, who are watching at the moment. But to me, that is just like on point for me. So yeah, I'm going with Wetsuit for my number 2. What do you guys think? Paddy?
He hasn't made it out here over yet, so I don't have him. But I'm looking forward to seeing him. And I really hope this leads to doing a devilfish next year.
Oh, that
because
would be so cool.
Wetsuit and not having a devilfish, it seems like it was wrong. So I feel that they need to get a devilfish out on the back of him coming out now.
Yeah, definitely get a devilfish on your back end. I like the sound of that. Pat, what about you? I know you. I want your reaction here, because that was a visceral reaction to my choice.
It was just very surprised. I just didn't expect you to say wetsuit. You know, there's a lot of figures that are out this year. That just was not what I expected you to say at all.
Nobody was expecting Chris to discuss his wet number 2.
I've got a wetsuit because I've got number 2 in it. I think it's mainly because that's actually, I have said it out loud a few times on some of the shows, but like I've done a few kind of bursts where I've said, I think this is like the perfect figure for me. And it would probably be number 1 if it wasn't for another figure that came out this year that I've just been blown away by, which we'll talk about obviously later. But no, but it is a shocker. And I think the fact that it's getting out before the end of the year is also ridiculous. Like, they have crammed a lot of figures in this year, and the fact that it's snuck in at 2025 is mental to me. But yeah, what do you think of the figure, though, Pat? I should ask.
It looks really good. You know, he doesn't have a mullet this time, as he did in the version 3 figure from the vintage line. But he looks good. I haven't had him in hand. I don't really think that there's a lot of room for them to do a classified and a retro, but don't necessarily think that has to happen with every figure. I probably would change the flippers, though, if it were me.
How dare you? And Adam?
I've never heard of him, so he sucks. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I think he's one of those ones that it's. I don't have him in hand either. Obviously, he's really down to the cusp of 25, so I don't have him yet. But hard to really put a lot of innovation in there. I think they stuck very close to the vintage figure design. Nothing wrong with that, though, if it's executed well. But hard for me to really have a thorough opinion without having it. I will say, as a diehard Miami Dolphins fan, I think his head resembles 80s Dan Marino, which I'm all here for.
It really does.
It really does. But yeah, I don't know. I think he's cool from what I've seen. I'll be eager to give him the bathtub test and let you know.
That's gross. Pictures, please. Right then, let's move into our number 1s then. Let's squeeze them out, starting with Paddy.
Okay, so I didn't buy a whole lot of classified this year because the character choices this year didn't really do much for me, I have to say. Just wasn't none of them were my jam. There was a couple of exceptions, obviously Snake Eyes.
There was no Red Laser, there was no Red Jackal, there was no
Tiger Force. What the
come on.
But one figure I'm very glad I did pick up is the classified Frag Viper. As traditional in my choice of picks for figures of the year, I generally pick a figure that I think cannot be improved upon. And I don't think you can improve upon the classified Frag Viper that came out. There's literally nothing wrong with him. Really, really nice update, really nice modernization. You've got the removable helmet. You've got the crazy android kind of head sculpt under there, which I kind of like. You've got the effects piece for the grenade. And yeah, just a really, really solid figure that I cannot think of a way to improve upon. So he's my figure of the year.
I have to agree with that. I think the Frag Viper is amazing. It's a beautiful figure. And like the kind of added additions they kind of gave it with the all of the different secondaries and straps and everything is kind of cool.
And everything fits on him as well, which is always a bugbear for me. It's like, can you fit everything on the one figure? Yes, you can. Perfect.
It kind of looks a little bit cooler than the original. I do love the original Frag Viper, but they've definitely upped the cool factor on that one for sure.
I got him on the drive to Joe Fest this year, so I have nice vacation memories of him. A couple of things. I don't love that the torso is painted that deeper brown color and the underarms. Like, I feel like that's kind of a strange update from the vintage. I almost just would have stuck closer. Also, I really wish that his helmet was painted silver as opposed to cast silver, and that seems to be a real like hit or miss thing with classified. Like, I don't know what determines which ones get painted, which ones are cast, but like I think certain pieces would really benefit from it, and like obviously his head being metallic would have looked really cool. Overall, though, very awesome figure. I love the unmasked head. There's that Star Wars character that it looks like. I can't remember their name now.
One of the Darths, or one of the what they call the
Inquisitors or something.
Inquisitors.
Right?
Yeah, Inquisitor.
Okay. Yeah, it looks kind of like that. And I think that's super cool. I'm always in favor of fleshing out designs like that to kind of, because it's a blank slate, I mean, they could have easily gone like the 25th route and given him like a balaclava head underneath or something. So the fact they gave him like a cool personality is really something.
Definitely.
I've grown up in Florida around High Life, so I'm a big fan of his cesta glove and his grenades that he throws. I think that's really fun. But yeah, he's a very cool design, and like I said, good memories of acquiring him, and a couple of minor things I might have tweaked, but
probably scope for a retro release then, to give him the full proper vintage body stocking colors. Maybe.
I mean, it's I'm personally not in favor of everything getting a retro release. Like, I think that because sometimes it's like in a case of like Wetsuit or Frag Viper, like the difference would be so minor that wouldn't
mind a repaint of him into Lethal.
Sure.
Yes.
No, okay, there you go. Now that I'm all
now we're
for
talking.
that. Yeah, absolutely.
Now did you see everyone's trousers come off then, Paddy, when you said that? It was like you said Lethal and everyone's pants disappeared.
Well, because I think we were all imagining neon green, but
happily double dip on that. Yeah.
But then it's going to be the Snake Eyes version 4 thing all over again. Are they going to make him muted because we can't have fun and classified? So I don't know. Like, it's if you're going to do it, you got to go all the way.
Yeah.
Lenny, open up that Pantone neon book if you're doing Lethal. I want to be blinded by that green, but yeah, Frag Viper's a very cool figure, and I'm really, again, he's from that late 80s, early 90s era that I love so much. So very, very happy to have him.
The only thing that I will say is that Frag Viper, the one thing that I think that they needed to do for sure was to make sure that he had several grenades, that you could just have grenades about in your dios, and it doesn't look like he comes with any individual grenades that are separate. There's like the one that has the smoke coming off of it, but he doesn't actually come with just a grenade, does he?
But don't.
Yeah,
I can't.
I'd really like that from it. The head sculpt underneath doesn't bother me, but it also isn't really a plus for me. I think that ever since I saw the Dave Dorman art for the earlier Frag Viper, I've never liked it more than the head that we got, but I liked it as an alternative and kind of want to see it happen at some point. So for me, if it were up to me, I'd rather have an alternate head than the removable helmet in this case, and have that other head that we've seen. I appreciate them adding story and updating some, filling in those blank slates, as you guys said. But for me, this one was just like that head doesn't really do anything for me. And there's a couple different things that I wanted to see from a Frag Viper that aren't here.
Yeah, he doesn't come with the extra grenades. You're right. For some reason in my head, I thought he had a couple that stuck to the top of the backpack, but that's like the OG. That's the OG one. I'm like, that was in my head, and I'm like, hang on, why is there nothing on the back of his back? Yeah, there's no grenades
there's no individual grenades with this Frag Viper. Yeah,
they're all in.
Yeah, that's wild.
Problem is, what they did was they put the hairpiece over the top, and after they screwed it together, so you can't get the grenades out.
Oh, you can't get them out. Yeah.
The hairpiece is covering the screw hole. So I don't know what's happened to my brain there, but I just merged those things together. But no, yeah, I get what you're saying, but like this is just there's something so really satisfying about this, Paddy, that I really like. I just love the look of it. And
extremely solid figure.
Cool.
And for the price, you get a lot of stuff for him, a lot of accessories, a lot of unique accessories with the helmet and the cesta and the backpack. So you will see these all again, I'm sure, next year at some point.
And Lethal, I think, is a good shout. I think Lethal is a great shout. All right, cool. Now, Pat, you're number one, right?
No, it would be the number ones. Did we already go through all the number ones?
Number one.
Okay, yeah, I guess it
No.
is me. You did your number one.
It's Pat for number one. Yeah.
Okay, my number one. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I'm not going out of turn here. My number one is, again, Super 7 Reaction Plus, Fatal Fluffy.
Surprise.
Yeah, I just think that this one was, they knocked it out of the park again as far as picking a figure that didn't have to fit within the vintage style to make me happy.
Right.
And it's one of the ones that felt like this is a thing never going to happen. But, in 2025, it happened. And it's a character that so many people have actually customized in the past out of Wampas and other things. So I like that they did it. I'm a little bit surprised that they went with giving him the blaster as well as the whip right away, because those could have been two separate releases. And I will say that I do think that they needed to make another one. And I think maybe, Chris, you said it in an episode, that an opportunity would be to give him a different expression on the face, to change it up for a re-release. And I think that's a good call, because there isn't a lot in the cartoon that I didn't get in this figure, other than, of course, the original version, the smaller,
the baby ones,
the fluffy one, the cuter Fatal Fluffy. They could put that as an accessory, and that would sell it, but maybe a different expression. Put it in a gift set. Do something. Get it out there again. Not everybody got it.
I could see them doing some sort of box set where they have a ton of the little babies in there, different kind of versions, and then obviously the Fatal Fluffies with different heads, different facial expressions would be perfect to really differentiate your little army building sort of thing with them. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they're great, man. Great. His little boots, his little furry legs are so adorable, and his hooves, my hooves. I'm desperately excited to hear what Paddy has to say on a character and figure that he doesn't know about or
this
care
is where
about.
We keep it short, probably.
Yeah. Is it gonna be Fatal Fluffy?
Happy that the people who want him got him, but again, I don't know who he is. I don't own the figure, and I could give.
I couldn't give a fluff. I couldn't give a Fatal Fluffy. And Adam, I know you're going to have some comments on this beauty, aren't you?
Oh yeah, this is another one that it wasn't what I wanted out of the gate, and then I have to admit I was wrong. As soon as I got it in hand, it completely changed my opinion.
I think I remember talking to you about the leak of that coming out, and you just kind of going. I remember you saying like a little diatribe actually of kind of like, it's not something I really give a crap about.
I think for me, it's just that like when you're starting a new line,
I don't know who this is. I don't want it.
Yeah. Well, we'd just done years and years of reaction, and then we're starting this, and it's like you had two ways you could go with it. You could either start over completely from scratch with all the core character hump again, or you could jump into some weird obscure stuff, and they did, just not the weird obscure stuff that I wanted necessarily. But
Agreed.
Within a few months, we were already into G.I. Joe the movie stuff, and now I'm kissing Brian Flynn's ass, so it all worked out. But yeah, I think this figure is awesome. Again, like Raymar, he's just got some heft to him, which I think is really cool to kind of, you can see even like this is a very tall figure and look how much bulkier. But I think
the sculpt detail as well.
Yeah, very, the one like super minor knock on this figure is that you can't turn his head, but like also who cares? But yeah, it's very fun. It's very evocative of the animation model, and I think it just adds a lot of variety to your shelf, when you've got just this sea of figures that are all roughly the same height, when you have this reminds me of like Monstro Viper or Bio Viper or something, where you have that one big standout piece where you're like, whoa, what's that? And the accessories are really cool, obviously. Then, the fact that he comes with two, if you wanted to army build them, you could make a cool setup that has some variety. But yeah, it's and for a figure of this size, he's got good range of motion and stuff. So I feel like you can make the poses look really cool and do stuff with it. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this figure. And
would you say a figure of that size answers all your questions?
It answers quite a few of them. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Unsurprisingly, this is I think it might be the first figure that completely sold out, like from the production run. I think they might even be rerunning it. So. But yeah, it's very cool. It's very unusual, but it's very G.I. Joe. Like it's, I I think this is very indicative of G.I. Joe as a whole. It's just the wackier, more fun elements, and I just think it's perfect.
Fantastic
I wouldn't
stuff.
no knife would not change.
Brilliant. Good shout there, Pat, for your number one of the year. Adam, reveal your number one for us, please, and thank you.
All right, so my number one might be kind of a surprising pick to people. You probably think it's going to be Pythona. It's not. I think I've been very consistent. If you go back and rewatch these specials over the years, the one thing I always harp on is I want new. And when I say new, I mean completely new. I don't mean like, you know,
A
an update of
redecoed
an
troop
idea.
builder.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, it can't be like, you know, this is the Cobra Claw pilot. So it's a little different. Like I want new. And Super 7 has done that, you know, I think 2 times now already. But, you know, Classified over the course of 6 years, I think I can still count on one hand the amount of actually like new original characters. And so with that in mind, my number one is the Cold Slither Zartan RPM exclusive. So this figure is absolutely bonkers. He is. You know, I guess you could simplify this down to saying it's a repaint, but to me, it's a lot more than that. It's just, it's wild. You know, Super 7 as a company, independent of G.I. Joe, has always gotten into stuff like this, into glow in the dark, into strange, colorful repaints, stuff like that. And I feel like, to me, this is really Super 7 at their best. Like, this is a very distinct sculpt that you're not going to get a lot of reuse out of. And they did another
They've managed it.
They managed it.
They managed it, though, didn't they?
They did another redeco of this figure where they painted him to look like version 1 Zartan, and to me that one didn't really work so well. But this is like, when I see this, I imagine like, you know, David Lee Roth and Van Halen's Jump video or something. Like this is the kind of figure that you know, shout, you know, like I love that, you know, he looks like he's wearing Zubaz, which you know, I wear every Sunday to watch football. I love his little guitar, like and you know, I sent you a video which I guess you can edit in right here. That shows that this piece is a 45 adapter, so he can actually play a record while this figure spins in the middle of the record player. And then on that note, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about how like ultra premium the packaging for this figure is.
Oh,
so he
beautiful.
comes in a road case, which
I know it's got some
Yeah.
vacuum on it, hasn't it?
it's got some seal. You know, really nice graphics, but the figure itself has really wild card art. This like
Beautiful.
neon pink. This
Beautiful.
almost looks like a concert flyer or something.
It does, yeah.
Mhm.
And then inside of that, you get a liner tray, which has each one of the releases came with an individual LP. This one has zebra print on the record to match the figure.
Gorgeous.
It's great.
Also comes with a poster and a guitar pick. But just, you know, it's not, this figure isn't reinventing the wheel or anything, but it's just such a fun design. I just look at it and smile. It's definitely a fronter in my case. It sticks out in all the best ways. And really, this is more of what I want to see. You know, you could say that like the Python Patrol Serpentor they just did is a new original design, or Cobra Commander, but like, you know, Python Patrol and Tiger Force, you could do that to every figure in the line, and, you know, they probably will. But like that's not a new idea, you know. This is completely whole.
They're gonna Python fight fake characters you never believed.
Yeah.
Python fight.
They're gonna Python Patrol, but you know, this is something 100% original to Super 7. It's based on no existing media, and I just think that is what makes it so cool. You know, create your own backstory, just enjoy it for what it is, as just this wild, wacky, eccentric figure, and you know. Even in the Super 7 realm of G.I. Joe, where you've got things like Raymar and Fatal Fluffy, I feel like this still stands out amongst them. And that really says something about how wild the design is, you know?
Absolutely.
So yeah, I just love this figure. I can't say enough good things about it, you know, and the fact that he's interactive on a record really is like, you know, that much more insane. Like just this thing fires on all cylinders for me. And I love it. I look at it every single day. It's something that I just find myself constantly drawn to and just wanting to, you know, pose. And like, I think if that's what the adult collector equivalent of play is, then I guess this figure's seen a lot of play this year, because like I just can't stop staring at it and thinking, man, how awesome, you know? So
I have to
definitely
say
my number one.
I have to say the whole Cold Slither rollout this year has been unreal. Like probably one of the most effective and also really well executed, kind of like across multiple toy releases and multiple live events where they had a real band take on the personas of each character in a really convincing and actually quite fun and not cringy and not embarrassing way, is an absolute win, in my opinion. Like, everything I saw from that group was actually quite good and like really impressive. And the fact they acted the part, for me, is the real amazing element of it. Like, going to all those like conventions and signing, but being in character during one of the actual like events and everything, and then for all of the product to just be so freaking amazing. Like the Cold Slither classified set, you know, that in itself could be number one. Like, it's beautiful. It's beautiful and ridiculous, and there's a whole drum kit and it's nuts. But then like that, those figures that Super 7 did, that you're right, that Zebra one was the one that I was most impressed with, and I was really excited when I was able to get it. I wasn't that fussed about the BBTS one because of the redeco, like you said, of the Sunbow, but getting that one I thought was more important than actually getting the Cold Slither one, really. But you're right, man. That's a great shout on that one. Really interesting as well.
I actually like the kind of basic reaction Zartan Cold Slither figure. It's a good looking figure.
Oh yeah.
But that one just takes up to the next level. Like even the packaging design and the artwork and the record, and just the fact that it goes up on some random online retailer and sells out within no time. It shows there was demand for it even outside, I think, the G.I. Joe community. People just wanted it as something that looked cool. So that's a good to see.
I definitely prefer the standard Cold Slither one to that one. I'm really looking for reaction to do the stuff that I've always wanted forever, rather than doing some stuff that's retreaded. That said, that's not retreading things, obviously. I know that they're going to have to take the stuff that I want and repaint it into new things. So I would prefer things like this over a retread of like Tiger Force Duke that is, in my opinion, like, if I'm going to start a list and rank how I feel about the Reaction Plus figures, I'm going to probably, just put him right to the bottom of the list because I just don't need that one at all. So if they're going to do a repaint, I'd much rather it be something like this that definitely has a lot more pop than the one that is from the cartoon. So it's almost like a cake and eat it too, where I have the one that looks like the cartoon, but I have one that looks a little bit, more out there and crazy in 1980s. And it feels a little bit like something that he may have worn at another stop on the Cold Slither tour. So it does work. Yeah. It's a much better repaint than the Python Patrol and Tiger Force stuff that they're putting out.
I love that's a good point. It's like the home and away kind of sports jersey sort of situation, isn't it?
The difficult second album outfit.
The experimental.
He's got addicted to cocaine.
He got most of it on his clothes by the look of it. No, it's amazing, man. Really cool. Good shout as well for your number one of the year, Adam. Now that leaves me, doesn't it? I'm the last up. So I'm going to go with. Now we're coming back to classified again, obviously, because that's been my main focus this year. And this was a figure that when I first heard that it was coming, got super excited. Kitty said. Then when I actually saw it in, like, the images coming out of the events that we were seeing at the time, I was blown away. And then getting it in hand earlier than I think everyone else, and putting a video out as well before anyone else. Yes. Pythona. Now, this is for me where I think, I don't necessarily need a Sunbow Pythona in 6-inch, right? Like, in terms of like the retro carded kind of vibe. This is where I think classified do some really. Yeah, no, I'm happy for that to happen. Trust me. But I mean, like, this figure, like the update, like her friggin' like, just like the sculpt for one, the fact that they've just it's a unique figure head to toe, absolutely stunning design, sculpt, deco, the alternate heads, like the fact she's got like one very like gorgeous, very like stern face, and then this like really terrifying, like scary, chilling kind of like face as well. The makeup on the face is really beautifully done as well. The fact she's got multiple hair pieces, and then of course the thing you guys remember, we did monthly episodes where we talked about what we wanted to see in like a deluxe format, and she was one of mine. And I remember saying at the time, but you have to give her everything that she has in that movie when she's breaking into the terror, the infiltration scene. She has to have the squidgy face hugger. She has to have the clam with the tapeworm clam, the four-headed electricity eel snake thing. She has to have all of these things that she comes with. And they went and just went, okay, we'll give you everything that she has in that friggin' scene, with the only omission being maybe a BET holographic clam in like the inside. But the fact you get a sticky clam, like, it's amazing. Like, they just did everything I wanted and more. And the cape, let's talk about that soft good. That could be soft good of the year for me, like, or soft good of the century. Like, the shape of it, the fact that you can get her in the VI cut thing where you kind of just see her eyes. You can get her like, tucked behind the shoulders and looking good. You can get it like, it's so good. It's so versatile. And then to have the little chopped out bits at the bottom where the doors kind of like cut the bloody cape, like, that attention to detail for me is just like phenomenal. It would have been even funnier if they'd have done that thing, when you kind of like you fold paper up and then you cut it and then you open it out and it's like a bunch of dudes holding hands. Like, that would have been really funny if they'd have done that along the bottom. Obviously terrible, but hilarious at the same time. I don't know. And then the packaging is just out of this world. Obviously, it could have been improved, couldn't it, Adam? Had you been the one that did the artwork?
Yeah.
But what I mean is,
nice.
in like, it is just the full package is just unreal for this particular figure. And like I said, the fact that the squidgy face hugger fits on on all characters, like, you can just stick it on someone's face and it's doing the job, kind of thing. It's just brilliant. Like, this for me is like figure of the year, and it was figure of the year before I even had time to even think about it. Like, it was amazing. So we'll start with let's start with Paddy, because I want to get that one out of the way first.
I'm really happy that they finally got around to doing the pre-paint of Reactive Armor Scarlet from Rise of Cobra. The best year of the year.
That is a brilliant deep cut right there. If you don't follow, sorry, that's an if you know scenario. That's why Pat laughed, because he got that immediately. Amazing. Do you think that's going to happen?
I mean, you're leaving money on the table, Lenny.
Yeah, big time. Pat, what do you think, Pythona?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be weird if this episode happened and nobody uttered the name Pythona. That was going to be strange. I also think that it'd be fun if you found that episode.
I'm amazed that the O-ring one hasn't appeared. Why do you all hate O-ring Pythona?
The elbows bending backwards bother me. There's a lot of like little things that are not. Like, there's still room for me to still get that Pythona I always wanted, even after getting that one. And for that reason, like I said, I want the figures to exemplify what I want from that line. And I do think that this Pythona does that for the classified line. It's a good call on some of the things that are different. I mean, it's not like you ever saw these holes in the movie, but they look like something that could be just a little more detail on an action figure that was maybe not represented in the movie. Yeah. It looks to me like that's the cape, because the cape is something grown, not because it was strapped. But
no, that's my. It's not technically what the deal is. It just feels like, for me, in my head. So that's definitely my head canon. That's sort of like what was left, because in the film, when it does that, you see like
you do, yeah. And I guess I never really thought about it, but I suppose it either is shorter after that, or maybe
it has a bunch of dudes
back.
holding hands at the bottom, like
right,
like a garland.
Yeah, maybe somebody picked it up and it attacked them.
Yeah,
in a cut, in a scene that like behind, something you didn't see happen. But yeah, no, this figure is really excellent, and I'm glad that it made the list. And it would be fun if you went back to you saying that you wanted it, and just interspersed like that into a short video of all of what we did get.
That's
I don't
a
know
good
what's
idea,
going
yeah.
on with this hand though. Like I've heard people call this the mashed potato hand.
Yeah.
I don't think you asked for a mashed potato hand. I don't know
so
what that is.
Actually, there's one thing I would say on this one is that I'm surprised actually they didn't do the long nails,
The long
hand
nails.
just on its
Yeah.
own. I know we've got the kind of dripping acid sort of long nails, but to not do like just a general long nail sort of hand is a surprise for me. But again, I kind of with the acid dripper, and the other one is apparently it's the acid kind of steam that comes off the guy's face when she
Okay, so where
holds
she's holding
his
her
face.
hand to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense because it looked like what somebody said, mashed potato hands to me.
She's just dug a hand in, and like in Scary Movie.
But I like mashed potatoes, so it's a plus.
Yeah, mashed potatoes. And of course, Adam, what do you think, mate, for Pythona?
My thoughts about this figure are all over the place, if I'm honest. I think that I've been sort of poisoned by years of seeing really good customs because I saw a custom one time that used an Aura Singh Black Series head with a Plasma Series Gozer body. And it was remarkably close to what you would imagine a classified Pythona looking like. And so I think I really had it in my head that that's sort of what we would get. And when I saw this, it's not that I don't like it because I love it. It's just not what I expected it to be, I think.
Right. So you're fighting that battle of expectation and
because I think in my mind, Pythona is a very inconsistent, like blobby, splotchy, like organic. And this figure is very symmetrical. Like it still looks very like almost like brain matter, crustacean, whatever, but it's very like perfect and symmetrical. So I like
they had to make some sacrifices at it because she is a pre-paint of reactive armor for Scarlet from the best G.I. Joe media.
Just her lower torso though. But yeah, so I think that there is that like war of head and heart, reality versus expectation going on for me with that. Also, it's a little like, again, like, is it a cool update or is it unnecessary? I don't know how I feel about like the vampire fangs thing. Like, that was not a thing that was ever established, but I also don't hate it. Like, it's kind of cool. Vampires are pretty sexy, right? That's hot.
I mean, also it's kind of it's on theme, especially with like it doesn't have to be vampire necessarily as much as it is animalistic.
Snake, yeah. Obviously she comes with the gem of that size. Never gonna not love that.
Oh my god, I can't believe I'm surprised that made the cut. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm surprised all of it made the cut, honestly. I'm amazed they got so much of it in there.
I do. So this is we're not going to get into the Super 7 figure, obviously, but a knock I had on that is that it's a cape, not a cloak. And this figure not only has a cloak, they executed it perfectly to match what she looks like at the beginning of the movie with the slit eyes.
Oh,
so honestly. I think that's a big one for me.
And the fact that it fits on both hair pieces as well, which is mind blowing.
Awesome. I mean, if I wanted to be really like stupid nitpicky, one minor thing, I remember feeling the same way about Prophet Director Destro. Comes with a burning stack of money, and they executed it the same way, and I had the same thought, which is that the acid drip fingers, I wish that hand had been molded in translucent green and then painted so that wasn't opaque. So it was, just because it would have looked more like slimy.
Yeah,
but agreed, that's, it's stupid minor stuff. I mean, overall, I think this figure is obviously a 10 out of 10. It goes without saying. It's, extremely well executed. I think I just have such fond feelings for everything about G.I. Joe the movie and such expectations of what I think that is, that it's like, there's room for interpretation with that, though. And obviously the fact that we got an O-ring figure in the same year kind of levels all that out for me anyway. But I'm very eager to see, how Globulus turns out. And obviously we've already seen Royal Guard announced. So I think this figure is just amazing. And
I think, could you imagine an Ultimates Pythona? That'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I'd buy that.
For $1.
Yeah, I'd buy that for, what are they, $55? Yeah.
I'd buy that for $55.
Yeah,
there you go.
But
well,
this figure rules. It's a great shout.
Thank you.
And
I had to, like, honestly, the moment I got that one in hand, I was like, oh yeah, this is so many dreams have come true here. As a huge fan of the Action Force movie, which is I think the original title of
Uh-huh.
the film, guys?
Yes.
Yes, correct. Yes.
yeah, thank you,
when
Paddy,
the Yanks
yes.
took it and turned it into G.I. Joe. Yeah.
The Yanks went back in time, changed it, re-released it earlier in the year somehow, and then weird. No, thank you very much, guys. Thanks jumping on and talking our favorites of the year, top threes. Now, obviously, we want to hear about your top threes as well, please, in the all of you watching.
Well,
let us
Paddy
know in the
doesn't. The rest
comments.
of us do.
Paddy doesn't care, but everyone else is really interested in hearing what you guys have to say. We'll be back, of course, as well with a New Year's Day special where we look forward to 2026 and what may be ahead that year. So you'll get to see us then as well.
Reactive
But guys,
armor
thank you so
Scarlet from
much.
Rise of Cobra.
Yeah, Rise of Cobra
Yeah.
Scarlet. Perfect. Thank you very much for jumping on, guys. Appreciate it. Great to see you, Paddy, again, mate. Thank you, buddy, for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Chris, as always.
And Pat, well, great to have you back on, mate, even though it's been ages since we've done an episode.
I've definitely missed it. I would love to be back on some other time.
We'll get it sorted out. We'll get that availability window fixed. And of course, Adam, buddy, thank you so much, bud, for jumping on. Really appreciate you coming on and chatting a bit of 2025 and your favorite stuff with us.
No diz out, you know. I've been Adam Riches.
Snitches
been
get
amazing.
stitches.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do a bit more banter, don't worry, on the next episode when we get a bit more time, but I am thoroughly late, so I'm going to have to call it a day. That's it for this festive weekly episode. Thank you to all my awesome co-hosts and to all of you at home. Have a very happy holidays, and we will see you again on New Year's Day. After three, guys, you know what to do. 1, 2, 3.
Full force!
Full force!
Fantastic. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos. And as always, you can keep up with the show after listening by following on all of our social platforms, links in the description. And if you would like to contact the show, you can message us on any of those platforms with feedback or questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/The Full Force Podcast, or click the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.